But the biggest announcement that came today was Emma Hayes dropping her 24-player roster for the two friendlies coming up in April against Brazil. Those matches are set for April 5th at SoFi Stadium in California and then April 8th at PayPal Park in San Jose, California. But we have 24 players. Let's take a look at them. We start in the back. The goalkeepers for the USA, Jane Campbell, Mandy McGlynn, and Fallon Tullis Joyce. Woo, woo, woo. Fallon Tullis Joyce, let's go. The defenders, 8 of them called into camp: Alana Cook, Tierna Davidson, Crystal Dunn, Emily Fox, Tara McKeown, Avery Patterson, Emily Sams, and Emily Sonnet. Midfielders, 6 of them: Corbin Albert, Sam Coffey, Lindsay Heaps, Claire Hutton, Jaden Shaw, and Lily Johannes. 7 forwards: Michelle Cooper, Ashley Hatch, Katarina Macario, Trinity Rodman, Yasmin Ryan, Ali Sentnor, and Alyssa Thompson. Plus, Hayes called in 2 additional training players, including Chelsea striker Mia Fischel and Angel City goalkeeper Angelina Anderson. We got to hear some initial thoughts from you guys earlier, but these are big names that have been called in. Jess, when you think about the 24 players that Hayes has brought in, is she looking to still grow this roster, or is this what is set to be the 24 that are going to help this team win?
I think you got to start somewhere. And this is very similar to the She Believes Cup roster. And so just giving a little bit of experience and a little bit of young onto this roster, I think it's going to be amazing to continue to see this team grow. I don't think this is going to be her team that's going to be set in stone moving forward, but she's bringing in the likes of Alana Cook, who hasn't been in a while, which she deserves. But there are some other questionable players who, I think deserve to be on this roster. I mean, where is Aubrey Kingsbury? I think that she deserves to be in another camp. But with that being said, I think Emma Hayes is starting off on the right foot with this type of roster moving forward into this next camp. And you know what? I'm overly excited for these younger players because for them to get a chance, Ali Sitnor very much so deserved. I've been such a huge fan of her since college, and obviously she's a Tar Heel, so I've been following her journey since then, and she's been nothing short of amazing at the pro level for Utah Royals. She's the only player on that roster who has stood out to me consistently. And so for her to continue to get her chances and with the full team, I think that she definitely deserves it. And then the likes of Ashley Hatch. D, I'll let you, tap in on that a little bit more, but how excited we've been to see Ashley Hatch get her chance again because she definitely deserves it. She came in off the bench in the middle of the season when Washington Spirit was going through so many injuries. And so she really proved herself when she came out. She showed out, and that was nothing short of amazing. And I can keep going on and on about this roster, but to be honest, at the end of the day, I'm extremely excited to see what they're going to continue to do.
Yeah, I'll start from the forward line. Jess, you said it. Ashley Hatch, our former teammate from North Carolina, seeing what she overcame last year and also maintaining such a positive energy for this team and being a leader from the bench. It's difficult when you're rookie of the year, one of the leading goal scorers in the NWSL, to suddenly being a bench player, hardly getting minutes. Some games you don't even see the pitch, to then your team's relying on you mid-season. You come, you score goals, you get assists, you set your team up for success. You don't miss a penalty. The girl cannot miss. And then you come into the season, you're a starter again, and you finally get that call up. This has been deserved a long time. Shout out to Ashley Hatch. I think she's going to go and ball out. And where I'm looking at the national team with this is you have a Sophia Wilson who's out, but I think if she's healthy, that 9 position is hers. What she offers to the team is so effective. Her touches mean something every time she's on the ball. She's going to score goals. Um, and then you look at Katarina Macario, back from injury, playing so well with Chelsea. She offers something different by popping into pockets, going into channels. She dances on the ball. She's playing textured passes. It's almost a false 9 that she gives, but still a really effective goal scorer and a great set piece taker. And then you have an Ashley Hatch, who to me is a little bit more of an in between a Sophia Wilson and a Katarina Macario. where she can check into a pocket, she can lay off, she can turn and spin, she can go 1v1. You can also play her over the top so she can stretch. I think she's a good in between the two. And at that 9 position, Jess, you know very well, you have very limited touches in matches. How are you making the most out of each of them? And Ashley Hatch has been proving that she can make the most out of them with her club, and I'm excited to see her get the opportunity to do it with the US.
I'm very impressed with how Hatch has taken her game to the next level. It understanding that she can't just be a stretch and behind forward, but while also not losing the identity that got her initial call ups, got her success collegiately, success in the NWSL, right? Golden Boot winner, a championship at Washington Spirit. She didn't lose that identity, but she did a good job of evolving her game to add a little bit more of playing underneath and being another option, just giving a different ripple effect that I think is the reason she's back into camps with the US women's national team, because she was there for a while in 2023 and then out for a bit and now she's back in. But when you look at this forward line, it's it's only one player from Triple Espresso, right? And I think it's safe to say that Sophia Wilson, Mallory Swanson are namestays as of right now in this front line. But who else can come in? And these players add so many different things. What's the biggest difference in these types of forwards and how they apply their game to a real match, especially seeing them potentially against Brazil in these upcoming friendlies, D?
The biggest question for me, why we love Triple Espresso and we love those 3 players is the chemistry and how each of them have such different qualities. I mean, I just talked about Sophia Wilson. She can stretch, but she likes to turn on a dime in a pocket and get a shot off. Trinity Rodman, you're going to get a crazy work rate defensively and offensively. She's going to go 1v1. Her service on the outside has gotten great and she can cut in. And Mouse Swanson can do everything and anything. And she's great at set pieces. Now you're having all of these players come in and they have to build chemistry. So Alyssa Thompson, how are you going to combine more? Yes, we know you can go 1v1. Yes, we know you're fast and you can recover well defensively. Now, how are you going to combine with others? How are you going to maybe come inside a little bit more? Uh, Even the same goes for Yasmin Ryan. How are we going to see you be effective? That's not just being isolated on the wing. How do we see you come inside? Michelle Cooper, you get some more minutes. What are you going to do? How are we going to see your game evolve and grow that we've seen with Kansas City, where you're more in front of goal as opposed to wide? I think it's a big question of how quickly can you build these relationships? How effective can you be in the attack? And how consistent and confident can you be? It's a big test because going into a new camp, it's a pressure cooker. You want to get those minutes, you're hungry to go, but how do you highlight your teammates in the same way that also makes you look good is going to be the big question for me with these players that are maybe in their second or third camp with the US.
It's a very young roster. The average age, just over 25 years, 25.3 years old. There's one player that earned her very first senior national team call up. That is Houston Dash defender Avery Patterson. She was in the Futures camp back in January, but now this is her first call up. She's listed as a forward in this mix. And with Houston, she plays as a wingback player wide in the area. She's comfortable on the ball. She's really comfortable in tight spaces, driving centrally and looking to create. It's actually very interesting that Gatral has her playing a little bit more deeper, because I think Houston could also use her at times going forward. But she's got an incredible good work rate. That's why she's up and down the flanks so much with Houston. I would be very intrigued to see if she gets time as a first call up with so many new faces in camps constantly for Emma Hayes. I would be very surprised if we saw her get significant minutes in this camp against Brazil. I imagine it will be more moments for Cooper, Ryan, Setnor, and Thompson to find a little bit more rhythm together, especially when we look just at that forward group. Jess, you talked a little bit about some of the players missing. There are a lot of players that perhaps aren't called in, right? Alana Cook is back on this roster for the first time since October 2023 when she got her last cap. But defensively, there's no Sam Staub, no Alyssa Milanson, no Jenna Neiswanger, no Casey Kruger. Jess, where are these players?
Yeah, first and foremost, I would like to touch on Alana Cook before I get into these other players. Alana Cook, I I don't think a lot of people realize how difficult it is mentally, the mental part of the game to jump from club to country. The World Cup didn't go as we all expected. We didn't see Alana Cook get any minutes in the World Cup in 2023, and so that just shows you what her mentality is like, being able to perform again. She looks like she's in her element again. And so for her to get this call up, I'm so stoked for her because she's been so consistent with this Kansas City Current side. But as far as other players who didn't get the call in, Jenna Neiswanger, what's going on? I have no idea. I think that she's one of those players that, can stretch the back line for the other team. She gets in the final third, she can combine, she gets back. She's a good 1v1 defender. But you want to talk about 1v1 defensively, Casey Kruger. I mean, she is a pain in the butt to play against. And that's a compliment to her because she is one of the most difficult defenders that I've ever played against in my entire career.
Same.
And so for her to be left out of this roster, I'm scratching my head with a big question mark because I think that she is unmatched in the outside back position, especially going 1v1. She's quick, she's savvy. She doesn't get into the final third as much as like a Crystal Dunn or Emily Fox, but she still gets the job done as a defender. And that's the kind of personality that I think that the U.S. Women's national team needs on this roster. So I kind of feel for her a little bit, but lastly, where's Aubrey Kingsbury? The girl is just savvy with with the ball at her feet. She can play with left foot, right foot. She brings this sort of Alyssa Nair-esque repertoire to her. She's saving balls that you think are in the back of the net and they're not. And you're like, oh, what a goal. Oh my goodness, never mind. And so that's what Aubrey Kingsbury, I think she brings so much experience into the net. She's also one of those players that's so difficult to play against. I don't even know how many goals I have against her. I'm pretty sure it's very limited to 1 to none at this point in my playing career. But
if you could bring Kingsbury into this camp, which of the current keepers on the roster, Campbell, McGlynn, or Tullis Joyce, would you remove?
Oh, I would have to rock, paper, scissors between Jane Campbell and Mandy McGlynn. Mandy McGlynn, a little inconsistent with the ball at her feet. We've seen it a few times so far in the first 2 games this season. A couple giveaways, a couple shaky moments when the ball's at her feet because, most teams at this point, you want a keeper that can play with the ball at your feet, and you got to be confident as hell to be able to do it. And so I think Mandy McGlynn, she's been a little inconsistent, but not to take away from her amazing assists that she had, the first weekend, which was absolutely incredible. So she's made up for it a little bit, but I will have to say maybe pull out Jane Campbell and bring in Aubrey Kingsbury. I think that's my final answer.
Ooh, that is a hot take. I actually disagree. I would bring in Kingsbury over McGlynn at this point, just because I think McGlynn, you're seeing that with Utah, she has a good enough test with how Coenraads is having them play, which is a really high up. She's basically a keeper sweeper. She has to use her feet a lot. She has to make very decisive passes. She can get assists. That's the role that she's playing. So when the ball comes to her, she already is dealing with that pressure. She's going to grow a lot with Utah. You don't need to be called into a camp where, yes, you'll get training, but the time is really limited. Whereas I think with Aubrey Kingsbury, she's very much proven that she is really good with her feet. She's talented. She leads from the back. Great shot stopper. That is never been a question about Aubrey Kingsbury. But why is she not in camp? Why is she written off? I don't understand it. I would love to see her. No shade to McGlynn. I just think Utah's the right place for her right now with where she is in her game and how she's going to grow. And
I
Aubrey
would argue
Kingsbury
that
deserves some flowers.
Kingsbury doesn't play out of the back enough consistently with Washington. That's not how they're wanting to play. Often the ball starts ahead of her. She's not filling in as another center back where McGlynn does that. And that's what Hayes is looking for. Someone that really steps up high. Yes, McGlynn is making mistakes in the NWSL, but she's trying things and she's
Is Hayes wanting somebody that's as aggressive as Utah plays?
maybe not
I
as
don't think
aggressive,
so.
but the line that's there, having someone be more aggressive than Kingsbury. How often do we see Kingsbury trying to play a ball through to Hatch up top? Never.
I think because that's what they want her to play with the back line. But Spirit's back line to me is confusing as to what they're trying to do with the three back. I think that's going to take time to build. But Kingsbury, with her experience already and how she genuinely is so good with her feet, and maybe it's not showing the Spirit right now and how they're trying to change this team. But I still think her feet are further ahead than McGlynn's are and how she's
I'm
playing out.
just saying Mandy McGlynn got an assist last weekend.
I
Opening
mean,
game.
that's amazing. That's
So
amazing. Yeah, she was at the bottom of the circle and chipped it over. Like, it was a great assist. It was great vision, great texture on the ball, but she also played one that got them scored on and they lost the match. So it's give and take with that positioning.
okay, what about some of the forwards that aren't called in? Emma Sears, Ella Stevens, Darian, where are these players? Why aren't they called into camp?
Yeah, Ella Stevens is tough because I think what Ella Stevens lacks in pace, maybe to get in behind, she has a level up in how good she is on the ball and how she does combine with what I was saying the other forwards earlier. How are you going to highlight other people? How are you going to build connections, cutting inside, playing those textured passes? Right now, I think a huge asset to Ella Stevens is what else is in your game? How else are you bringing this to show in the national team? Whereas these other players, I think, have a little bit more of a leg up right now, or from what they've shown from end of last season to this season, whether it's Alex Sentinor and her long range finishing consistently, popping into channels in a quick turn, Yasmin Ryan dribbling inside and having a shot and it being effective and something coming from it. I think there just needs to be another layer, and same with Emma Sears. She's also super young. Emma Sears is really, really young with this Louisville team. We have all the faith in the world in Bev Yanez that she's going to develop this player. Bev was one of the best forwards I've played with, especially
Mhm.
training wise. So good, so consistent, so clean on the ball. She's going to learn a lot, and maybe that's what needs to come next in her game. But I do think Sears is still in that mix, but maybe it just wasn't enough from the last camp to get this call up.
Sears and Michelle Cooper are similar style players, Jess. That they are very similar when they're on the pitch. Why does Cooper out edge Sears to get this call up?
You know what? Cooper has just a smidge more experience than Emma Sears does. And let me give you an example. So, Kansas City Current's first game this season, Cooper came into that inside pocket and ripped one from about 25 in the upper 90, unsavable ball. So she's adding a little bit more to her repertoire on the field. So we don't always just see Cooper out wide. We see her out wide a lot because she's so good 1v1 hitting end line. But there are from time to time you do see her popping into that inside spacing in that half space where she's able to turn very quickly, exactly what she did in that first game, and just rip it because her long range shots are absolutely chef's kiss as well. And so that's what she brings to the game. And she does it with her left foot too. Every now and again, obviously we want to see more to it because that's what she's going to need to bring at the international level. Can she pop into that inside pocket of space, that half space, and being able to combine with not just the forward line, but also that midfield? If she pops in, who's going to go beyond her, or even vice versa? And so I think that's just a little bit that she needs to add into her game. But I see just a little bit more experience out of Michelle Cooper than I do with Emma Sears.
How do you compare Cooper and Alyssa Thompson?
Alyssa Thompson, I think that at the international level with the full team, she has more experience. So she's had a little taste of Vlatko, and now she's had a little taste of Emma Hayes. She knows what Emma Hayes wants out of her. Whereas Michelle Cooper, she's brand new to what Emma Hayes wants to bring out of her. And so I don't know if you guys have been watching these last couple of games with Alyssa Thompson. You see her getting end line. You see her going 1v1. You see her popping into that inside pocket. You see her hitting them with the left foot, right foot. She's taking the goalkeeper on 1v1. I mean, she's got the full package. I mean, she's on fire this season. And so I see another spark in Alyssa Thompson at a whole nother level than what we saw in 2023 and in 2024.
I'll
Ooh.
also say to me the difference is I think technically Alyssa Thompson has an edge over Michelle Cooper, what Michelle Cooper has physically. That's not to say Michelle Cooper's not a technical player. Also, the way that Kansas City plays is very much send her along, get her going
Mhm.
1v1, whip a cross in, which her crossing from last year to this year has been 90% better. It's been such an improvement. She should have had 3 assists this last weekend. It's been really fun to watch her game. But Thompson, she's getting picking the ball up at midfield or just above midfield and has all the space in the world to dribble, to come inside, to go 1v1. So I think it's a little bit of a tale of how their club teams play. But Jess, I like that shout of, hey, Alyssa Thompson's had more time. Michelle Cooper, you come in, you're criticized, you're told what to go work on, you're told what you need to do. I'm sure their communication with Vlatko on, hey, I need to see this from her. You're also going to get more out of her if I see this. Michelle Cooper can be in, and I think she has a potential to get to that level.
Darian, this past weekend, I got to speak to Michelle Cooper one-on-one, and I asked her specifically that after being called into U.S. camp, what was the feedback from Hayes? What have you talked about with Vlatko and Anofsky to work on 1v1? And over the last 6 months, she has focused and honed in on her 1v1, going at a defender, having confidence to do that. She played as a 9 in college, and she
Mhm.
only played 2 years at Duke. And as soon as she got into the NWSL, they put her wide as a 7 or an 11, a winger. And it changed how she played the game. She wasn't as confident and comfortable going forward. Her teammates have given her more confidence, and Vlatko has given her more confidence to go at defenders, and then her crossing. The two things that she really wanted to work on this year, and that Hayes said, continue to develop this, picking out a player in the box, sending a cross in early after you beat your defender 1v1, work on crossing. And she has improved. It's great that you say that. I'm sure she's happy to hear that what she's purposely working on is
That's
coming to
awesome.
fruition. Yeah, very cool to hear. So
And fun
US
fact, I trained with her this off season a lot. So I got to watch and train with her, seeing what she's bringing to the table this off season. So she has put in the work, and we see that especially from her first camp with the U.S. Women's National Team.
Jess, you're
Love
pretty
that.
strong. Did she push you around it though?
No, she was actually on my team. We played a
I
lot
was
of
saying, you probably on the
5v5.
same team.
Yeah, we were on the same team a lot actually. So she never got the chance, to be
You're
honest.
lucky. She's a
The
physical
brute.
one. She's a
A
brute.
wrecking ball.
Yeah, it's great. She's leaning into her physicality too. It's cool. U.S. Women's National Team, they're all called into camp for 2 friendlies in April against Brazil, April 5th and April 8th. Our very own A3 reporter, Sandra Herrera, she's given us a little tidbit from the Emma Hayes presser happening live right now, saying that a U23 training camp is set to run concurrently alongside this April window. So there will be a U23 roster drop hopefully sometime in the next day or two. So we'll hear and see some other young players that have been called up.